ready to go, thought it was going to be a good day.
Yeah, it's a big disappointment. The car was good, and I think we just put it too low, and I just couldn't turn it. I went a little bit deep, and I just couldn't turn. I just went straight. So it's sad for the guys, but there's always one more to go.
And we'll see you on the Oval at Phoenix in a couple of weeks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Adrian Fernandez, the EDS computer system. In fact, they came all the way across the Pacific and installed their specialized antennas right into the streets here of Surfers Paradise. Reporting now that we are over the halfway point in the race and that Michael Andretti continues his dominance just like at Miami. But remember, at Miami, it only takes a quick movement of one car to end that kind of domination.
Right now, as we watch Paul Tracy there in the red and white car, he trails Stefan Johansson, who's just ahead of him in the bluish car. And that is a battle now for third place. Johansson third, Tracy fourth. And, of course, ahead of them, Fabi in second. And then the questionable Michael Andretti. How much will he be delayed by what appears to be a pit stop coming up very soon?
Well, Tracy's been on the move. We watched just a little bit ago and watched him pass Villeneuve, Sam. He was really hooked up and moving. So as the race has been going on, Paul's been getting faster.
You know, Bobby, he's driven a really sensible race. He was careful in the early going. Obviously did not want to make another mistake. Last year, in the first 4 races, he managed to score only 2 points. He doesn't want to start with this new team this year the way he started last year.
And I talked
to Miami, it looked bad.
And I talked to Carl Haas. He said that he's been talking to him constantly, trying to get him to slow down. And I told Carl, I said, you're lucky you have a race driver fast enough to slow down. How about if you have one you try to speed up? That the owners won't do.
I'll tell you what, the kid is looking good here this weekend. Look at his pursuit of Stefan Johansson. Now, Bobby, the car that Stefan is driving is the Penske chassis from last year that was so incredibly powerful.
Yes, it certainly was last year, and they bought one of Penske's cars, of course, but it isn't quite the same. It's run by a different team. And I'm sure, and in fact, I know that Roger doesn't sell all the little tiny secrets that he has. He sells the car fully developed. The car is a good car. Stefan likes it. He feels the tires today are not quite suited to that car. Very much the same complaint that little Al has.
You mean you buy that chassis and there's a whole bunch of little holes and marks that you don't know what they do?
Well, not really. They just have some little tricks on the settings. They'll give the guys a good start when Penske sells the car, but they don't babysit it completely after that, I guess is the story.
More on Stefan Johansson, Gary Gerald.
Well, just talking with Tony Bentonhausen, the owner for Stefan, and you know, Paul, in the past, so many times it seems like this team has been somewhat snake-bitten, had tough luck. They've got their fingers crossed. They like the way the car's reacting right now. I said, what's the primary concern for Tony? He says, we're just trying to carry the car. We're trying to read it well, react to it, not push it, stress it too hard. They haven't had problems with gearboxes as so many others have. They like what's happening right now in this camp.
Stefan Johansson just ahead of Tracy. Battle for third place. We'll watch.
Keep in mind when you watch Tracy that Johansson in front of him is the car. One of the cars that last year so dominated kart racing.
Johansson's best finish last year was a 4th. He had a pair of 5ths, but he's running 3rd now, headed possibly for a podium finish where his luck to hold. So this is a very big day for Stefan Johansson, the Swedish driver who once drove in Formula 1 for Ferrari.
Continuing to watch the run of Paul Tracy chasing Stefan Johansson as they scream down the pit straight here at Surfers Paradise, Australia. Don't forget, ABC Sports continues its auto racing coverage in 2 weeks. IndyCar action continuing as Bobby Rahal battles the Arizona Heat and some hot drivers in the Phoenix 200 presented by Pyroil. That's live here April 2nd on ABC Sports. And we've got a car slowing, and it's Villeneuve.
Yes, that's really a sad deal. Whatever his problem is, Villeneuve's running so good. He's going into the pits right now, though.
The winner of the first race of the season at Miami 2 weeks ago, suddenly slowing, coming off the pace and into the pit area. Team Green is there to meet him. And already he starts to take the steering wheel off and climb out of the car. So while running up toward the front for most of the day,
Obviously, he has a transmission and engine out, because when you see him lay the rags on it that are wet, that's so the heat won't burn the paint right off the cars from the engine. If he gets out like that, you know that he's broken either the engine or the transmission.
Again, the view there for a second from the refueler's helmet as Gary Gerould going in pursuit of Jack Villeneuve. Gary, is he willing to talk right now? He could be upset.
Well, we'll find out. Jack, what was the situation? What was the problem?
Well, first, the fourth gear broke. After a while, third gear as well, and then all the gears broke.
A lot of teams having transmission problems. You struggled on the first day. Were you confident going into this race that you'd be able to overcome that?
Well, I thought the gearbox would be okay, but since the first day of test we've had problems with that new gearbox, and it seems to be a little too weak.
All right, thank you. Jack Villeneuve obviously wants to get back away from the crowd of spectators here. Headed back to his garage.
And great that he's bothering to even take the time. You can imagine how frustrating that is. Let's go to Jack Arute.
Well, the word is that Michael Andretti should make his presence known on pit road very shortly. Remember, he's the one with the short fuel load, so he will be the first of the leaders to show his way onto pit road. And the other report we've got, Paul, is slight sprinkles are beginning to fall, so many of the teams have run back to get their rain tires, hold them in the back of the pits, and hopefully not have to bring them to the front.
Well, Surfers Paradise is a tropical area. You're looking inland toward the outback of Australia, and the rainforest not far from here. And you did see some shower activity. Let's hope it doesn't sweep too much across Surfers, but the teams are ready nevertheless.
This is the time of the year that they get rain down here, and it's usually in the afternoon, and we're definitely in the afternoons.
We're very far south, down on the same latitude as Cape Town at the southern tip of Africa, and Santiago over in Chile and South America. This is very, very far south down here.
Michael Andretti, 39 laps complete. During the last lap, a little over 102 miles an hour. He's been easily the fastest car throughout the day. His fastest lap turned at 103.5 miles an hour as he continues dominating this race. So the action continues at Surfers Paradise, Australia. We'll be back after this message and a word from our ABC station. Ready. Heads for the pits at Surfers Paradise, Australia. He's in much earlier than everybody else because he did not get a full load of fuel on the last stop, Jack Arute.
That's correct, Paul, but they will make certain that he takes a full load this time as well, Paul. They are going... Now there's a problem with the air jack. It is not lifted up. There we go. They are going to make a change, Paul, back to the originally recommended compound tire. So Newman Haas has gone back to what they qualified on, and he is off and away. But that was a long stop for Michael Andretti.
Well, I especially watched the vent hose to make sure some methanol fuel got up into it, and he appears to now have a full tank of fuel. Made that stop on the 41st lap, Bobby.
Yes, and when he went out, you watched he was locking up his front brakes. The tires are still cold. They're not up to temperature. They don't have full grip yet. Michael was kind of lucky that he didn't have a bad problem getting into that chicane.
Watch the height of Michael's helmet in the car. See how low down it is now as another car roars by.
Boy, there's the hard cold tires.
See, the tires are up to temperature. But now watch what happens. He's out on the Esplanade now, and he pushes so hard on the throttle that his head starts coming up out of the cockpit. See it there? That's because he's pushing really hard on the throttle. Now a chicane is coming up, and when he nails the brakes there, see, he scrunches back down in. 3.5 G's, he told me this morning, under braking.
Yes, and if you notice, Michael was really, the car was not adapting to the new rubber compound he put on there. He was really slowing down for a while.
Here's a super fight, that ongoing battle for third place. Stefan Johansson holding off Paul Tracy.
This is where Tracy is showing incredible maturity. In earlier years, he would have tried to rip by Johansson in one great out-braking maneuver. Mind you, he's still going to have to pass him, and it's going to be extremely exciting when he makes the attempt. But he's been very, very careful with Johansson.
Scott Pruitt is not far behind. And keeping a close eye on this battle as Pruitt runs in fifth. There you see him just up track. And that is the top place Firestone car. The first positions are all Goodyear tires. This is Firestone.
Pruitt actually had the fastest lap, surprisingly, at Miami.
Tail Bobby into the pits, Gary Gerould.
Talk with Neil Nickelwright, Tony Brunetti. They like the way way the car's handling, but Teo has suddenly pulled the steering wheel off the post. The car went up on the jacks, the engine died, the wheel has come off. This is totally unexpected. He was in a position to challenge Michael Andretti, and you can see the belts are off, and Teo is coming out. This great drive suddenly aborted. No explanation at the moment, Paul.
Well, what in the world could that be? Teo Fabi just climbing out very quickly.
It's probably a transmission problem. A lot of the guys have been having transmissions. This track is normally not hard on transmissions, but, well, we've had a bunch of it today.
Back on the battle, Johansson and Tracy. And with Michael Andretti's pit stop, this becomes a battle for the lead of the race. Johansson is currently the race leader. Tracy in second place. Remember, Michael went in early into the pits. Also, Bobby, what we have to think about is what that will do with Andretti's final fuel stop. He surely has to stop again. Let's go to the pits first, though, and Gary Gerould.
Paul, the problem for Teo Fabi was a broken exhaust system, something that they did not count on, they did no knowledge of. They were ready for a routine stop, and Teo's day is done. It's a broken exhaust system.
Oh, boy.
You see, normally that would have been radioed in, like if he had an engine or transmission. I was wondering why he didn't radio it in, but he wouldn't know if the exhaust was broken. The mechanic saw it when they took the hood off and told him to shut her down.
Saw it, or would you hear it as it comes in?
I wouldn't hear it. They're just really small engines. Until their turbocharger lights up, you really don't hear much.
Battle for the lead here. Stefan Johansson. Paul Tracy chasing. Michael Andretti is back in fifth place as a result of that stop. The top of the order is Johansson, Tracy, Scott Pruitt now third, Bobby Rahal fourth, and then Michael Andretti.
Johansson is having one of the best races I think he's had in an awful long time. He knows that he's leading the race. That's last year's Penske car again, which, as we know, last year was a very good car. He's been complaining a lot about the tire design, complaining about the casing, the carcass of the tire, not being complementary to the Penske car.
Emerson Fittipaldi, he runs 14th into the pits. This should be a routine stop. Though it hasn't been that long, only 13 laps since Fittipaldi was last in the pits. And off he goes. You mentioned, Bobby, that you were watching the Penske team time a pit stop for Little Al.
Well, when he came in earlier, in fact, the last pit stop, I remember seeing him come in, he did a timed stop. Now, Roger is very cagey. He does this very often. But what his method was right there, it's really hard to tell because it had something to do with the fact that Little Al having two black flags was way back in the pack.
The battle for the lead continues. Stefan Johansson, Paul Tracy. It's been 19 laps since their last stop, Jack Arute.
Well, here's the deal, Paul. Paul Tracy will come in under a regularly scheduled fuel window, and that should be his last stop of the day. The same cannot be said for his teammate, Michael Andretti. As we said at the beginning, when he came up 12 gallons short in the beginning, now they are going to run the gambit all the way to the end. The Newman Haas team, Michael Andretti's crew, are aware that rain is on the horizon. They're hoping for that rain, because then having to come in and take rain tires, they could have a splash and go as well. If not, they'll have to rely on the onboard telemetry to run it right down to the ragged edge. They're not sure whether they can go the distance. In fact, I think if you talk to them honestly off the record, they know they can't.
Well, you're going to have to put a lot of faith in that telemetry, of course. They've been using it for a long time now. Johansson runs in first, still being chased by Paul Tracy and Scott Pruitt. Gold Coast, Surfers Paradise, Australia. A great battle for the lead. Stefan Johansson currently has it, looking to grasp his first IndyCar win in that Penske 94 chassis that was so successful for the Penske team last year, allowing them to finish 1, 2, 3 in the point standings. Right behind him, Paul Tracy in a much improved Lola, a design this year that is working very well, and he has been right at the back of Johansson at every corner.
That might even be the car, could be the car that he actually drove last year. How do you like that?
Let's go to the pits, Jack Arute.
Well, Paul, not good news for Michael Andretti. He radioed into his crew, we're dead. It seems that the car is stuck in one gear. He can't get it out of that gear and is having to work his way around, stuck in one gear. In the meantime, the Newman Haas crew is awaiting the arrival on pit road of Paul Tracy. Let's check in with Gary Gerould.
To update the situation with Teo Fabi, he's gotten back into the cockpit. You can see the helmet is on over the shoulder. They've gone to the spare car, got a spare piece of the exhaust system, which they're putting in place. They hope to get back out just to finish the event. Any chance to win, of course, long gone.
Paul, some hot work there, changing exhaust systems on a car just off the track.
Gentlemen, we could see a repeat of what happened